Hello everyone, this is Speaker Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you. I'm just going to give some quick thoughts on the recent teaser trailer that was shown for the new and upcoming Supergirl movie that is due for release on the 22nd of June 2026. It has House of the Dragon actress Mily Alcock in the lead role, and it was directed by Craig Gillespie, and of course it is the second cinematic chapter of the Gods and Monsters section of James Gunn's DC Universe, following his Superman movie that debuted earlier this year on July the 14th. So we'll just get straight into it then and give my overall thoughts. And overall, when looking at the trailer, I wasn't really that impressed. It overall has the same tone, really, that I think a lot of people were expecting from a James Gunn Supergirl version. It has the more wannabe, edgy rock with a lot of attitude, a lot of nonchalance and carefree personality, and this is really keeping in line with the tone of James Gunn's not only DC Universe but all of his films in general. Now, there's no getting away from it. The aesthetic clearly is a riff of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. We spotted that straight away, and again, that was to be expected. The story itself will be an adaptation of Tom King's comic book miniseries that involved Kara on a space mission aiding a alien girl named Ruth Knoll, who's on a quest for vengeance for the people responsible for killing her father. And that comic book series was very notorious for, again, showing a Supergirl who was very drunk and very much having a brazen attitude. And that again falls in line with exactly the James Gunn sensibilities in terms of his own tone and filmmaking. And in terms of the trailer itself, it has that very sepia kind of faded contrast. We see in the beginning of the trailer Krypto, the dog, who of course reunited with Supergirl at the end of the Superman movie. We have him urinating on a newspaper clipping of Superman, and that is in itself James Gunn always wanted to throw in that juvenile, cheeky humour that he finds funny, and really isn't in keeping in line with what I expect from the DC universe. And as we go into the trailer, we see many shots of Supergirl in the bar, lazing around, having shots, getting drunk and partying. And whilst I do think that Mily Alcock in her role as Rhaenyra from House of Dragon was phenomenal at times, in this role as Supergirl, I'm not really sure. She doesn't really have the more glowing, sweetheart, endearing, charming personality that I would certainly want to see from the character. This is much more of your rock, pixie chick, minxed, very much of that white bleachy skin that she has, and faded no lipstick, and I'm just not sure it's a complete fit for the character herself. Another thing that I noticed straight away is that it seemed that the trailer was almost ashamed to show Mily in the actual Supergirl costume. For the most part, she's actually wearing this long brown jacket, another sign of trying to be hip, trying to be edgy. I don't find it particularly stylish. I just think it's a shame that we can't see her in a costume for most of the trailer. Now, when we do see her in the costume towards the end, we have her first hovering in the sky, and then we see her swinging around this kind of metal baton as she's taken on lots of foes. And I have to say, I'm not as impressed or blown away by Mily in the costume. The costume itself, it looks fine. I'm still not a fan of the B-grade Superman emblem that we saw, of course, from the Superman version, the Kingdom Come style. I've never liked it. I think it looks too cheap and a discount version. Why we couldn't have had the more classic Superman emblem, I'm still not sure about. It's just not anything that is particularly awe-inspiring or anything that's eye-catching or spectacular, in my personal opinion. We are just judging from that one particular sequence, but so far, Mily doesn't carry the sense of power that I'd want to see from a superpowered Kryptonian. Now, hopefully when we see more, perhaps for the second trailer and of course the movie itself, we will get some much more dynamic shots and sequences of Mily as he's exhibiting much more of her powers. Now, if we follow the comic book miniseries, we know that Supergirl purposely travels to planets containing a red star or planets with a certain atmosphere that diminishes her power. And this is just a tactic here to try and make her much more vulnerable. This is keeping inconsistent with what James Gunn wants from his characters. He doesn't want the absolute aspirational superheroes with conviction and positivity. He prefers this imposter syndrome, this inner angst, this inner torment, a struggling teenager still trying to get to grips with who they are and their purpose in life. We saw this multiple times in the Superman movie, and it seems we're going to get the same thing here with this Supergirl interpretation also. Now, we did get a quick flashback of Krypton, or Kandor, we assume. Kandor is the original city that Kara Zor-El came from, a kind of neighborhood city or planet from Krypton. And we see her here talking with the character we assume will be the Ruth Malnol character that I mentioned before. And yes, I suppose there will be a reference here. This is when I imagine will be the turning point where we will see some sort of emotional weight that James Gunn will propose to give to this character. I can envisage the movie playing out from the first half with Supergirl partying hard and being very footloose, and then there'll be some sort of major events that will make her reflect much more on her past, and that will be the moment where she gains much more purpose and direction. Again, I could be wrong, but going by from what we've seen typically from James Gunn, in particular Guardians of the Galaxy and also his Suicide Squad movies, this is how he wants to play on the heartstrings and draw much more of an emotional connection with the viewers. Now, Krypton itself looked okay, I suppose. If it is that planet, it's good that they are not simply replicating the look from the classic 1978 Superman movies. They're trying to be a bit more original, though of course we've seen this previously with the CW version of the Supergirl character. And I suppose the one remaining aspect to focus on is of course Jason Momoa making his first appearance of Lobo. This is something that we've known for some time now, and to be honest, despite his role as Aquaman, the first film grossing over $1 billion worldwide, even back then, many people said that Jason Momoa was far more suited to playing a character like Lobo, not only because he had the look and the size of the character, but because of his own screen charisma and personality. The kind of the dude bro charisma is a perfect fit for a character like Lobo, where simply Jason Momoa could just be himself and not have to strain too much in terms of playing an overall character. Now, we only get a quick glimpse of him as Lobo, not a full bodied shot, and to be honest, I think that was the right tactic. This is a teaser trailer. It is Supergirl after all, so you want to keep the focus on her as a lead character. And in many ways, that's a trump card, if you like, that they could use later on. If the optics aren't good for this first trailer, then they can put more emphasis on Jason Momoa's Lobo in the second trailer. And that was it really in terms of this first look at the Supergirl movie. As I've stated before, I'm not really that impressed. For me personally, I still believe that the two best versions in terms of live action of the Supergirl character belong to Helen Slater in a 1984 movie that, okay, wasn't very good at all, but her, in terms of a visualization of the character, was very much spot on. Helen Slater back then looked absolutely perfect in a Supergirl suit. And the second version is, of course, the Melissa Benoist interpretation of character from the long-running Supergirl CW series, debuted, I believe, back in 2019. Firstly on CBS and then later on the CW network. And you can criticize the CW verse as much as you want to, but no doubt about it, Melissa Benoist's interpretation of the character was also great and fantastic, and she had more of that endearing charm and much more of that hopefulness and endearing quality about her, much more of that sweetheart look that I would associate more with the character. And I don't really see that this time in this version of this movie, where again it's much more of that rock, grunge, carefree attitude that once more I just think is dated. This is something that we see from the 90s, and it's just overall cliched and tired and a bit boring, to be honest, and a bit predictable once more, as we know exactly where James Gunn is coming from in terms of his direction of the DC universe and its characters. But I will hold the caveats that we do have to wait and see in terms of the movie itself, whether it will be good or not. At the very least, it's not going to be, I suppose, very dark. I imagine there'll be lots of humour, whether that is to your taste or not. And who knows, it may provide some surprises when we come to the actual movie itself. Hopefully, it will present much more of a heroic version of the character than what we've seen from the trailer so far. So those are my thoughts and feelings, and quick look at the first teaser trailer for the upcoming Supergirl movie next year. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other further movies, television series, or any other topics with the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover in this channel, then also let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.